I see colors that don't exist. Not in the poetic, metaphorical way people describe sunsets or first love. I mean literal colors that shimmer in the air around certain objects, certain people, certain moments. Colors that have no names, because they exist only in the space between what is and what could be. The doctors called it synesthesia when I was 7. A neurological condition where senses crosswire, creating perceptions that feel as real as breathing but exist nowhere outside my own mind. Sounds have textures, numbers have personalities, and dangerous things glow with colors that make my skin crawl. I learned early to keep my mouth shut about what I see. Nothing marks you as strange faster than telling your second-grade teacher that the number 8 tastes like copper, or that your classmate's new backpack pulses with a sickly yellow-green. That means something inside is rotting. Kids who see things others don't get labeled, medicated, studied like lab specimens instead of people. So I adapted. I learned to translate my alien perceptions into language normal people could understand, developed filters between what I experience and what I say, built a life around the careful management of being different in a world that punishes difference. 23 years of practice, and I've almost convinced myself I'm normal. Almost. The Sapphire Room isn't the worst place I've worked, but it's far from the best. It's a cocktail lounge in Chicago's River North neighborhood, the kind of establishment that caters to businessmen with expense accounts and couples celebrating anniversaries they'll regret in the morning. The decor is all deep blues and gold accents, crystal chandeliers that cast prismatic patterns across white tablecloths, leather booths arranged for privacy and conversation. I've been tending bar here for 8 months, ever since the gallery where I worked closed its doors and took my dream of being a professional artist with it. Turns out a degree in fine arts from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago qualifies you for exactly nothing in terms of paying rent. The tips are decent, the hours are terrible, and the manager, Marcus, is the kind of man who looks the other way when customers get handsy as long as they're spending money. But it pays $300 more per month than the coffee shop I worked before, and every dollar matters when you're supporting 2 teenage siblings on a bartender's salary. Table 12 needs another round. Jenny calls from the service station, her voice cutting through the ambient noise of a Thursday evening crowd. The usual suspects. I glance toward the corner booth where 3 men in expensive suits are deep in conversation. They've been here every Thursday for the past 2 months. Always the same table, always the same drinks. Bourbon neat, scotch on the rocks, and vodka martini extra dry. The colors around them are dark. Burgundy shot through with veins of charcoal and steel gray. Not the sickly colors of rot or poison, but the deep, dangerous hues of controlled violence. Of men who've done things that would give normal people nightmares. I've learned not to stare at what I see. Learned to mix their drinks with steady hands while my gift screams warnings I can't articulate to anyone who'd understand. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Ava, you good? Jenny touches my shoulder, her voice concerned. I realize I've been standing motionless, bourbon bottle in hand, staring at nothing. Or rather, staring at the colors only I can see, painting warnings in the air that no one else perceives. Yeah, sorry, just tired. It's not entirely a lie. I am tired. Bone deep exhausted from working 50-hour weeks while managing the chaos of raising Maya and Connor. My sister is 17, my brother 15, and between them they generate enough drama to fuel a television series. Maya's college applications are due in 3 weeks. Connor just got suspended for fighting, again. The rent is due in 5 days, and I'm $200 short even after picking up extra shifts. The electricity bill sits unopened on my kitchen counter because I'm terrified of what the number will be. And through it all, I see colors that tell me truths I can't share with anyone. I deliver the drinks to table 12, moving through the lounge with the careful invisibility I've perfected over months of service work. Be present but not intrusive, attentive but not hovering. Smile but don't make eye contact long enough to invite conversation. One of the men, the one who always orders bourbon, nods his thanks. His eyes are storm gray, and the colors around him shift when he looks at me. The burgundy lightens fractionally, shot through with unexpected warmth like embers in darkness. I retreat to the bar before I can analyze what that means. The evening follows its usual rhythm. I mix drinks with mechanical precision, my hands moving through familiar motions while my mind wanders to the canvas waiting in my studio apartment. I've been working on a series of paintings that try to capture what I see, translating the impossible colors of my synesthesia into pigments that exist in the real world. It's the closest I come to honesty. The only place where I can show people what my gift looks like without being labeled crazy. Not that anyone's buying the paintings. The gallery that represents me, a small collective in Pilsen, moves maybe one piece every 3 months. Barely enough to cover the cost of supplies, much less contribute to rent. Art doesn't pay bills. Bourbon does. Ava Martinez to the office, please. Marcus's voice crackles over the intercom with the flat tone of someone who's about to deliver bad news. My stomach drops. Being called to the office during a shift never means anything good. I find him behind his desk, surrounded by paperwork and the ever-present smell of cheap cigars. He's 50-something, with the kind of face that's seen too much and learned to care about too little. "We need to talk about your hours," he says without preamble. Cold floods through my chest. What about them? Corporates implementing new scheduling policies, cutting costs across all locations. I have to reduce bartending staff from 3 to 2 per shift. The floor feels unsteady beneath my feet. "You're firing me?" "Not firing. Reducing hours. You'll keep 2 shifts per week instead of 5. 2 shifts. $400 less per month. The difference between barely making rent and catastrophic failure. Marcus, I can't survive on 2 shifts. I've got siblings depending on me. My brother's tuition. I'm sorry, Ava. It's not personal. It's numbers. Everything is numbers when you're poor. Numbers that never quite add up no matter how carefully you calculate. I walk back to the bar in a daze. My vision blurring with tears I refuse to let fall in public. The colors around me seem brighter, more aggressive, like my gift is amplifying in response to stress. Every object pulses with significance I can't interpret through the panic. How am I going to tell Maya that her college fund just evaporated? How do I explain to Connor that his after-school program, the one keeping him out of trouble, is no longer affordable? "You okay?" Jenny asks, reading my expression with the accuracy of someone who's been in similar situations. "Fine. Just peachy." The lie tastes like static electricity on my tongue. Another side effect of synesthesia. The way deception has its own flavor, its own texture. I'm mixing a Manhattan when he walks in, not the bourbon man from table 12, though the colors that precede this new arrival carry similar depths. This man is younger, maybe early 30s, wearing a suit that probably costs more than I make in 3 months, handsome in the sharp, dangerous way of men who know their own power. The colors around him are extraordinary, deep crimson layered with gold and shadow, pulsing with an intensity that makes my breath catch. But threaded through the red are veins of something else. Something that glows with the particular sickly green I've learned means decay, poison, danger. He's dying, I realize with sudden certainty. Not imminently, but something inside him is wrong, corrupted. The colors don't lie. He takes a seat at the bar, 3 stools down from where I'm working, and signals for attention with the casual confidence of someone accustomed to immediate service. "What can I get you?" I ask, forcing my voice to remain steady despite the warnings screaming through my gift. "Macallan 18, neat." His voice carries an accent I can't quite place. Italian, maybe, or somewhere in that region. The kind of accent that suggests old money and older traditions. I pour the scotch with hands that only tremble slightly, watching the amber liquid catch the light. The colors around the glass are normal, clean, exactly what expensive whiskey should look like to my enhanced perception. He takes a sip, nods approval, and returns his attention to his phone. I should feel relieved. Just another customer, another transaction, in an endless series of transactions that comprise my working life. But the colors around him won't let me relax. They pulse with warning, with significance, with something my conscious mind can't quite interpret but my gift recognizes as vitally important. 10 minutes pass, then 20. He orders a second drink, which I deliver with the same professional courtesy. That's when I see the other man. He's seated across the lounge, positioned with a clear view of the bar. Mid-40s, expensive suit. Drinking wine he's barely touching. Nothing remarkable except the colors. They're the same sickly yellow-green I associate with poison, with rot, with things that should be dead but somehow continue moving. And there, focused entirely on the man at my bar. My gift has never been directional before. Colors exist around objects, people, moments, but they don't point, they don't indicate, they simply are. But these colors are different. They stream from the man across the lounge toward my customer like visible malice, like intention made manifest in hues only I can perceive. Something's wrong. Something's about to happen. I watch the man across the lounge signal to Jenny. Watch him order something I can't hear from this distance. Watch her nod and head toward the service station, where drinks are prepared for table delivery. The colors around his wine glass pulse brighter, more urgent, screaming warnings in frequencies only my broken brain can detect. He's added something to his wine. I don't know how I know, but I know with the same certainty I know my own name. Something that glows with that particular shade of green that means poison, that means death. And Jenny's about to deliver that wine to someone else, someone important, someone whose colors mark him as dangerous but not deserving of whatever's in that glass. My body moves before conscious thought catches up. I intercept Jenny at the service station, my hand closing around her wrist with enough force to stop her mid-stride. Don't deliver that, I say urgently. Something's wrong with it. She stares at me like I've lost my mind. Ava, what are you talking about? The wine, the one you're about to deliver. It's contaminated. Contaminated? It's a sealed bottle. I literally just opened it. But I saw him, saw the colors change, saw whatever he added when no one else was watching. Except I can't explain that. Can't articulate how I know without sounding insane. Just trust me, I beg. Please, don't deliver that drink. Jenny pulls her wrist free, her expression shifting from confusion to irritation. I don't have time for whatever breakdown you're having. Marcus already cut your hours. Don't give him a reason to fire. You completely. She walks away, carrying the poisoned wine toward table 8, where it will be delivered to someone who has no idea they're about to consume their own death. The man at my bar, the one with the extraordinary colors, watches this exchange with sharp attention. Something in his expression suggests he's registered every detail, processed every implication. Problem? He asks quietly. No. Sorry. The words die in my throat as Jenny approaches table 8, as she sets down the wine glass with her professional smile. As the customer, a woman in her 60s, celebrating her anniversary, reaches for the poisoned drink. I can't let this happen. I don't remember deciding to move. Don't remember crossing the lounge or pushing past other customers. I only remember the sensation of time slowing, colors intensifying until they're almost blinding, my gift screaming warnings that drown out rational thought. My hand closes around the wine glass just as the woman lifts it toward her lips. Don't drink that! The words tear from my throat with more force than I intended, loud enough that conversations stop throughout the lounge. Everyone stares. The woman, her husband, Jenny, Marcus emerging from his office, the man from across the lounge, whose expression shifts from casual observation to cold calculation, and the man from my bar, who's standing now, one hand inside his jacket in a motion that looks casual but feels anything but. Miss, what's the meaning of this? The anniversary woman's husband is red-faced with indignation. I stare at the wine glass in my hand, watching the colors pulse and writhe around the liquid inside. The green is so bright now, so intense, that I can barely see the actual wine beneath it. It's poisoned, I say simply. The words land like explosions. Marcus is beside me instantly, his hand on my elbow with painful pressure. Ava, what the hell are you doing? That wine is poisoned. Someone put something in it. I turn to point at the man across the lounge, but he's already moving toward the exit with controlled speed that doesn't quite qualify as running. The man from my bar intercepts him before he reaches the door. What happens next unfolds so quickly I almost miss it. A conversation too quiet to hear. A flash of something metallic. The sound of glass breaking as tables are overturned. Then the man who poisoned the wine is on the ground, hands behind his back, while two other men in suits materialize from positions I hadn't noticed. The bourbon man from table 12 is one of them, I realize. The whole corner booth has mobilized with military precision. Call the police. The man from my bar says calmly, as if he hasn't just orchestrated a takedown in the middle of a cocktail lounge. And get that wine tested. The lady's right. It's contaminated. Marcus stares between me and the scene unfolding near the exit, his expression cycling through confusion, anger, and something that might be fear. How? Did you know? He asks quietly. How did I know? Because I see colors that don't exist. Because my broken brain shows me truths normal people can't perceive. Because I've spent my entire life learning to translate impossible perceptions into language that won't get me institutionalized. I saw him add something to the glass. I lie. When Jenny wasn't looking. It's close enough to true. I did see something, just not in any way Marcus would understand. The police arrive within 10 minutes, which seems remarkably fast, until I realize that one of the officers addresses the man from my bar as Mr. Marchetti, with a deference that suggests this isn't a normal customer complaint. The wine is confiscated as evidence. The would-be poisoner is arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. The anniversary couple is escorted out by paramedics who insist on checking them for exposure symptoms. And I'm left standing behind the bar, hands shaking, watching my world implode in real time. "You're fired," Marcus says flatly, effective immediately, creating a scene, making unfounded accusations, interfering with service. She just saved someone's life. The voice cuts through Marcus's tirade with quiet authority. The man from my bar, Mr. Marchetti, approaches with the same controlled grace I noticed earlier. Up close, his eyes are even more striking. Storm gray with flecks of silver, studying me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle with awareness. That doesn't change the fact that she violated "I'm buying this establishment," Marchetti interrupts smoothly. "Paperwork will be finalized by tomorrow morning. Until then, consider yourself suspended pending review, Marcus." The young lady stays on staff with a substantial raise for preventing what could have been a catastrophic incident in my soon-to-be property. The colors around him pulse with that burgundy gold intensity, but now I see something else. Interest. Not the predatory kind I've learned to recognize from handsy customers, but genuine curiosity mixed with calculation. He's trying to figure me out, trying to understand how I knew. Marcus sputters protests that die when Marchetti's expression shifts fractionally. Whatever he sees in that face convinces him that arguing would be a catastrophic mistake. "Fine," Marcus says through clenched teeth. "But I want it on record that I recommended termination." "Noted," Marchetti says dismissively, his attention never leaving me. "Now leave us." Marcus retreats to his office with the wounded dignity of someone who's just realized he's been outmaneuvered, but can't quite articulate how, leaving me alone with a man whose colors suggest danger and power in equal measure. "How did you really know?" he asks quietly. The same question Marcus asked, but this time I sense that a lie won't suffice, that this man has resources and attention to detail that will detect deception instantly. "I saw something wrong with the wine," I say carefully. The color was off. The way the light refracted through it. I've worked with wine long enough to recognize when something's been added that shouldn't be there. It's the best explanation I can construct without revealing the truth. Wine expert notices contamination. Plausible, professional, normal. His eyes narrow fractionally. "God, you have exceptional observational skills." I pay attention to details. Clearly. He pulls out a business card, sets it on the bar between us. "Dante Marchetti. I own several establishments throughout Chicago, and I'm always looking for people with your particular talents." I stare at the card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering, a phone number, and nothing else. The colors around it are complex. Burgundy and gold, yes, but also threads of something darker. Something that speaks of obligations and consequences. "I appreciate the job offer, Mr. Marchetti, but I'm just a bartender." "You're considerably more than that, Miss Martinez." He knows my name. Of course he knows my name. Men like him know everything before they ask questions. The position comes with triple your current salary, flexible hours, and comprehensive benefits, including health insurance for your family. The mention of my family sends ice through my veins. "How do you know about—" I make it my business to understand the people who interest me. "You have 2 siblings, ages 17 and 15. You're behind on rent. Your brother's school just sent a tuition notice that you can't pay. And you have a gift for seeing things others miss." He leans forward slightly, voice dropping to a register that bypasses my conscious mind and speaks directly to some older, more primal part of my brain. "I can help you, Ava. Give you the resources to provide for your family, to pursue your art, to stop living one crisis away from catastrophe. All I ask is that you continue doing what you just did. Notice things. Tell me what you see. Help me protect the people under my care." It should sound like a threat. Instead, it sounds like salvation. What if I say no? His smile is sharp as broken glass. "Then you walk out of here tonight with nothing but the satisfaction of having saved a stranger's life. Your rent remains unpaid. Your brother's tuition remains overdue. And eventually, the weight of trying to survive alone crushes you." The colors around him pulse brighter, more insistent, painted with shades I've never seen before. Not threatening exactly, but absolutely certain. He's not making an offer. He's stating inevitability. "What exactly do you want me to do?" "Start tomorrow, 8 p.m. at my primary establishment, Vita Bella in the Gold Coast. We'll discuss the details then. He straightens, adjusting his jacket with practiced precision. Oh, and Ava? The police will need a statement about what you witnessed tonight. Tell them you saw the suspect tamper with the drink. Nothing more, nothing less. Understood? Understood. He leaves with the same controlled grace he arrived with. And I'm left standing behind the bar of a lounge that apparently no longer belongs to Marcus, holding a business card that feels like a contract with the devil. But devils who pay triple salary and offer health insurance start looking awfully angelic when you're drowning in debt. I take the card home that night, setting it on my kitchen counter next to the unpaid electricity bill and Connor's tuition notice. Maya is asleep on the couch, her laptop open to college application essays. Connor is in his room, headphones on, probably playing video games instead of studying. They look so young, so innocent, completely unaware that their sister just made a deal that will either save our family or destroy us completely. The colors in our apartment are muted, tired. The beige walls and secondhand furniture pulse with the particular shade of gray that means resignation, acceptance of mediocrity. I pull out my phone and dial the number on Dante Marchetti's card. He answers on the first. Ring. Yes? I'll take the job. Whatever it is, I'll do it. Smart decision. Get some rest, Ava. Tomorrow, your real life begins. He disconnects before I can respond, leaving me alone in my shabby apartment with 2 sleeping siblings, and the growing certainty that I've just stepped into something far more dangerous than a better-paying job. The canvas in my studio corner mocks me with its unfinished painting. I've been trying to capture what I see, the impossible colors of my synesthesia, translating them into pigments that exist in the real world. But tonight I realize I've been painting the wrong thing. I should have been painting warnings. Vita Bella sits on a corner in the Gold Coast, like a jewel in a crown of old money and new ambition. The building is historic limestone, 3 stories of elegant architecture that predates the surrounding glass towers by nearly a century. At street level, floor-to-ceiling windows reveal an interior of warm lighting, exposed brick, and the kind of casual sophistication that only comes with serious investment. I arrive at 7:45, giving myself time to observe before entering. It's a habit born from my gift, this need to assess environments before committing to them. The colors around Vita Bella are complex, layered with history and intention. Burgundy and gold, yes, but also threads of silver that speak of money. Real money, the generational kind that doesn't announce itself with logos or flash. And underneath it all, that same darkness I've learned to associate with Dante Marchetti. Not evil, exactly, but dangerous, powerful, the kind of presence that reshapes everything around it through sheer force of will. A man in a dark suit materializes beside me on the sidewalk. I didn't hear him approach, which should be impossible on Chicago pavement. Miss Martinez, Mr. Marchetti is expecting you. He's young, maybe 25, with the kind of military posture that suggests training beyond what civilian jobs require. The colors around him are steel gray shot through with burgundy, a soldier in expensive clothes. I can find my own way in, I say, trying for confidence I don't feel. I'm sure you can. But Mr. Marchetti prefers to ensure his guests arrive safely. The way he says guests makes it clear the word could easily be replaced with assets or acquisitions. This way, please. He leads me not through the main entrance but around the side, through a service door that opens into a corridor I'm guessing most customers never see. The colors here are different, more functional, gray concrete and fluorescent lighting that pulses with the particular frequency that makes my teeth ache. We pass what looks like a commercial kitchen, then a storage area, before arriving at a door marked private in discreet gold lettering. The soldier knocks twice, waits for a response I don't hear, then opens the door and gestures for me to enter. The office beyond is exactly what I'd expect from someone like Dante Marchetti, dark wood paneling, leather furniture that probably costs more than my annual rent, artwork on the walls that I recognize from my art history classes. A Rothko, unless I'm mistaken. Original, not print. Dante sits behind a massive desk, reviewing papers with the focused attention I remember from the Sapphire Room. He looks up as I enter, and those storm gray eyes conduct their usual assessment. Ava. Punctual. I appreciate that. He gestures to the chair across from his desk. Please, sit. I lower myself into leather so soft it feels like butter, trying not to think about how much furniture like this costs. The colors around Dante are even more intense up close, pulsing with layers of meaning my gift can't quite translate. Burgundy and gold, yes, but also veins of something else. Something that shifts and changes depending on how the light hits him. I imagine you have questions, he says, setting aside his papers. A few thousand. That ghost of a smile. Let's start with the practical ones. You'll be working here 4 nights a week, Thursday through Funday. Your official title is beverage director, which means you'll oversee the bar program, train staff, develop cocktail menus. The work is legitimate and well within your capabilities. And the unofficial job? You observe. You notice patterns that others miss. And when you see something that concerns you, something that doesn't feel right, you tell me immediately. He leans back in his chair, fingers steepled. Last night, you saved someone's life by recognizing a threat no one else detected. That's a rare and valuable skill, Ava. I want to ensure it's properly utilized. The way he talks around the specifics is almost artistic, never quite saying what he means but making the implications impossible to miss. What if I see something and I'm wrong? What if my instincts lead you astray? Then we adjust and move forward. I don't expect perfection, Ava. I expect honesty and effort. The rest, we can refine. A knock at the door interrupts before I can respond. The soldier from earlier enters, followed by a woman who makes my breath catch. She's stunning in an understated way. Mid-30s, dark hair pulled into an elegant twist, wearing a charcoal dress that probably has a designer label I've never heard of. But it's the colors around her that arrest my attention. Pure silver threaded with burgundy, pulsing with intelligence and controlled power. Ava Martinez, this is Isabella Costa. She manages operations for all my properties. Dante's voice carries warmth when he introduces her. Isabella, Ava will be joining us as beverage director at Vita Bella. Isabella extends a perfectly manicured hand, her grip firm and assessing. Dante's told me about your exceptional observational skills. I'm looking forward to working with you. Her voice carries an accent similar to Dante's, but softer, more melodic. And the way she looks at him, just for a moment, tells me their relationship extends beyond professional courtesy. Isabella will handle your onboarding, Dante continues. Paperwork, training protocols, introduction to the staff. You'll shadow her for the first week to understand how we operate. The next 2 hours unfold in a blur of information. Employment contracts that offer salary and benefits so generous I read them 3 times to confirm the numbers are real. Health insurance that covers not just me but Maya and Connor. A signing bonus that will cover 2 months of back rent and Connor's tuition. This seems excessive, I say quietly, reviewing the benefits package. Isabella's smile is knowing. Dante compensates people according to their value. He believes you're worth the investment. But it's not just the money. It's the subtle ways the contract is structured. Clauses about confidentiality and discretion. Language about maintaining security protocols and reporting suspicious activities. Nothing explicitly illegal, but everything. Suggesting that this job operates in spaces where law and custom intersect in complicated ways. I sign anyway. Because Maya's college applications need to be sent with deposit checks. Because Connor needs stability and structure. Because I'm so tired of drowning that even a lifeline attached to questionable circumstances feels like salvation. Welcome to the family, Isabella says, collecting the signed paperwork. You start tomorrow night, 8 p.m. sharp. Family. The word choice feels deliberate. I'm halfway through the door when Dante's voice stops me. Ava? One more thing. I turn back to find him standing, hands in pockets, expression more open than I've seen before. What you did last night took courage. Not just recognizing the threat, but acting on it despite the personal cost. That's rare. Don't lose that quality, even when the work becomes difficult. The praise shouldn't affect me, but it does. When was the last time someone acknowledged my courage instead of my strangeness? Thank you, I manage. Don't thank me yet. This world has complications you don't understand, but I promise I'll protect you through them. The colors around him pulse with certainty that feels both comforting and terrifying. My first shift at Vita Bella reveals that beverage director is cover for something considerably more complex. The restaurant operates with the precision of a military installation disguised as fine dining. Every staff member moves with purpose. Every gesture carries meaning. Every conversation happens in layers that extend far beyond the literal words spoken. I shadow Isabella through the evening service, learning names and faces and the subtle hierarchies that govern who speaks to whom about what. The head chef, Marco, runs his kitchen with absolute authority but defers to Isabella on anything involving the dining room. The sommelier, an elegant man named Vincent, consults her on wine orders that seem to involve considerably more than inventory. Management. And through it all, Dante moves like gravity. He's not always visible, spending most of the evening in his office conducting meetings I'm not privy to. But his presence shapes everything. The way staff straighten when he passes, how conversations shift in volume and content when he enters a room, the respect, or possibly fear, that his name commands. You're observing, Isabella notes during a quiet moment at the bar. Good. That's exactly what Dante needs from you. What am I supposed to be observing? She pours 2 glasses of wine, sliding one toward me. Anomalies, patterns that don't fit, people who seem wrong in ways you can't quite articulate. Her dark eyes study me with uncomfortable intensity. Dante says you have a gift for seeing what others miss. I'm curious to witness that in action. The wine in my glass pulses with normal colors, deep ruby red with hints of plum and oak, exactly what a quality Barolo should look like to my synesthetic perception. I take a one of today. Sip, letting the flavors coat my tongue, while my gift translates taste into texture and color. This wine was stored improperly, I say quietly. Temperature fluctuations during transport, probably. It's still good, but the tannins have degraded faster than they should. Another 6 months and it'll be undrinkable. Isabella's eyebrows rise fractionally. Our sommelier approved this shipment personally. Then either he didn't taste it properly, or someone's cutting corners with storage. Either way, I wouldn't serve it to guests who know wine well enough to notice. She sets down her glass, expression shifting from curiosity to calculation. Show me the rest of the inventory. I want your assessment of everything in our cellar. The wine cellar is a climate-controlled masterpiece 3 levels below the restaurant. Row upon row of bottles organized by region and vintage, representing an investment that probably exceeds the value of my childhood home. The colors here are extraordinary, each bottle pulsing with its own unique signature, the accumulated character of grapes and terroir and time. I move through the rows like I'm reading a library, my gift translating chemical information into perceptions I can articulate. This Burgundy is past its prime. That Bordeaux was corked at bottling. This Barolo is magnificent and will only improve with age. Isabella follows, making notes on a tablet, her expression growing increasingly focused as I work. How are you doing this? She asks finally. Wine expertise doesn't explain this level of precision. I have a sensitive palate, I offer. The same lie I've been telling for 23 years, refined through practice. And I've studied wine chemistry extensively. You learn to recognize the markers of quality and degradation. It's close enough to true. I did study wine chemistry, though not for the reasons she assumes. I studied it to understand what my gift was showing me, to translate impossible perceptions into language. That wouldn't mark me as insane. Dante was right about you, Isabella says quietly. You're going to be very valuable to this organization. The word organization carries weight that simple restaurant operations can't support. We're finishing the inventory assessment when raised voices echo from the upper level. Not quite shouting, but definitely heated. The colors shift instantly, burgundy darkening to something uglier, shot through with veins of angry red. Isabella's expression hardens. Stay here. What's happening? Nothing that concerns you. Yet. She heads toward the stairs with purposeful strides that suggest whatever's happening upstairs is both familiar and unwelcome. I should stay in the cellar like she instructed. Should mind my own business and remember that I'm brand new to this organization, whatever it really is. Instead, I follow. The commotion is coming from Dante's office. The door is closed, but voices carry through the heavy wood with enough force to make the raid at his office. Content clear. Your territory, but this is larger than restaurant operations. The speaker is male, probably mid-40s, with an accent that suggests New York or New Jersey. The Calabrese family is making moves. You can't ignore them. I'm not ignoring them. Dante's voice carries the same controlled calm I've learned to recognize as his most dangerous mode. I'm choosing my battles strategically instead of reacting to every provocation. Choosing your battles? They hit our shipment in Cicero. Took 200,000 in merchandise. And you want to talk about strategy? The soldier from my first night appears beside me, his expression suggesting I should not be hearing this conversation. But before he can escort me away, the office door opens and a man storms out. He's compact, muscular, wearing a tracksuit that costs more than most people's wardrobes but somehow still looks cheap. The colors around him are aggressive, red shot through with black, pulsing with barely contained violence. His eyes land on me, assessment instantaneous and cold. Who's this? New girlfriend? New beverage director? Dante says from the doorway, his tone suggesting the man's rudeness has been noted and filed away. Ava Martinez, meet Tony Romano. He handles distribution for our more specialized inventory. The emphasis on specialized makes it clear we're not discussing wine or liquor. Tony's gaze rakes over me with the kind of attention that makes my skin crawl. Pretty, but does she understand what she's working for? She understands what she needs to understand. Dante's voice drops to a register that makes even Tony step back slightly. And you understand that you don't question my hiring decisions. We clear? Clear, boss. Tony retreats toward the exit, but not before shooting me another look that promises nothing good. The colors around Dante are turbulent now, burgundy and gold fighting with threads of angry red. He's furious, I realize, though his expression reveals nothing. My office, he says quietly. Now. I follow him into the wood-paneled sanctuary, acutely aware that Isabella has appeared from somewhere and taken up position near the door, not blocking it exactly, but definitely monitoring. Dante moves to the bar cart in the corner, pouring himself 2 fingers of whiskey before turning to face me. How much did you hear? Enough to know that specialized inventory isn't wine. And I'm smart enough to understand that I just accepted a job that involves more than cocktail menus and staff training. He takes a long drink, studying me over the rim of his glass. Does that scare you? It should. I should be terrified. Instead, I feel something else. Curiosity, maybe. Or the particular clarity that comes from finally seeing what's been hidden in plain sight. The Sapphire Room, I say slowly, pieces clicking together. You weren't there by accident that night. Someone tried to poison you specifically. Very good. Keep going. And you bought the establishment not to protect me, but to control the territory, to ensure whoever targeted you couldn't use that location again. His smile is sharp as broken glass. Now you're understanding. The restaurants, the bars, the clubs I own throughout Chicago, they're legitimate businesses that generate real profits, but they also serve another purpose. Their territory, presence, power made visible in real estate and influence. Your organized crime. I'm a businessman who operates in spaces where traditional business and older traditions intersect. He sets down his glass with deliberate care. But yes, Ava, if you need labels, the Marchetti family has been part of Chicago's landscape for 4 generations. We control shipping, distribution, and certain other industries that don't advertise in the yellow pages. The admission hangs in the air between us, weighted with implications I'm only beginning to process. Why tell me? Why not just let me believe I'm working? For a restaurant group? Because you deserve honesty, and because the situation is about to become considerably more dangerous. He moves closer, storm-gray eyes holding mine with uncomfortable intensity. The man who tried to poison that woman at the Sapphire Room? He wasn't targeting her. He was targeting the man at the bar. Me. Someone's making a move against my family. And last night you stepped directly into the crossfire by saving my life. The floor seems to tilt beneath my feet. What? The bourbon I ordered. The glass you knocked away from that woman. It was meant for me, Ava. Someone switched drinks when the server wasn't looking. You recognized contamination I hadn't detected, and your intervention saved my life. He pauses, letting that sink in. Which means whoever's targeting me now knows you're connected to my organization. They'll assume you work for me, that you're valuable enough to protect. That makes you a target. Ice floods through my veins. Maya and Connor are under protection as of this morning. Discreet surveillance, but effective. No one will touch your family without going through security, I can guarantee. The casual mention of surveillance on my siblings should outrage me. Instead, I feel relief so profound it makes my knees weak. Sit, Dante says gently, guiding me to the leather sofa. I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to understand what's happening so you can make an informed decision. Decision about what? About whether you continue working for me, knowing the full scope of what that means, or whether you walk away tonight with enough money to cover 3 months of expenses and my assurance that your family will remain protected during the transition. He's giving me a choice. After everything, after knowing what I've learned, he's offering me an exit. If I leave, Maya and Connor lose the health insurance. Connor's school situation remains unstable, and I go back to bartending at establishments that I can't afford proper security. Technically true, but they'll be alive and unconnected to my world. That has value. I think about Maya's college applications, about Connor's suspended animation between boyhood and whatever troubled path he seems determined to walk, about the paintings stacked in my studio apartment, dreams made manifest in pigments that don't pay bills or protect siblings. And I think about the colors I saw around Dante that first night. Burgundy and gold and shadow, yes, but also threads of something else. Something that suggested honor within the violence, loyalty that transcended law. I'll stay, I say quietly. Fawn. On one condition. His eyebrows rise fractionally. You're negotiating? You want honesty? Then let's be honest. You don't just need someone who can spot contaminated wine or notice suspicious behavior. You need someone whose perceptions are different enough to catch threats normal security misses. Go on. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. I take a breath, committing to the truth I've hidden for 23 years. I have synesthesia, neurological cross-wiring that makes me perceive the world differently than most people. I see colors around objects and people that reflect their properties, their intentions, their threats. That's how I knew the wine was poisoned. It glowed with a particular shade of yellow-green that my brain associates with contamination and decay. Silence stretches between us while Dante processes this revelation. I wait for disbelief, for dismissal, for the skepticism I've encountered every time I've tried to explain my gift. Instead, he nods slowly. That explains the precision, the certainty. You weren't guessing or making intuitive leaps. You were reading information most people can't perceive. You believe me? I've lived long enough to defaller. Understand that reality has more dimensions than most acknowledge. If your particular neurology gives you access to information that keeps me and mine alive, I don't care what medical label it carries. He extends his hand. Welcome to the family, Ava. The real one this time, with full understanding of what that means. I take his hand, feeling the warmth of his skin, the controlled strength in his grip. The colors around him pulse brighter, burgundy and gold intensifying until they're almost overwhelming. And threaded through it all, something new, something that looks almost like trust. The next 3 weeks teach me that Dante Marchetti's world operates according to rules I'm only beginning to understand. Days blur into rhythms of restaurant work and covert observation. I develop cocktail menus that win praise from food critics while learning to read the subtle hierarchies of organized crime. I train bartenders in mixology techniques, while identifying which customers are legitimately celebrating and which are conducting business that will never appear in any ledger. And I learn about the threats Dante faces from every direction. The Calabrese family New York transplants trying to establish Chicago territory through intimidation and violence. They're behind the Sapphire Room poisoning, trying to eliminate Dante before his influence grows too entrenched to challenge. The Romano brothers, of which Tony is the youngest and most volatile, they work for Dante but chafe under his authority, always pushing boundaries, testing limits. And then there are the outsiders. Law enforcement who'd love to build a RICO case, politicians who want leverage, civilians who stumble into situations they don't understand and become collateral damage. Through it all, Dante moves with the same controlled grace I noticed that first night. He's present but not hovering, protective but not suffocating. He treats me like a professional whose expertise he values, not a prize to be guarded or a pet to be managed. It should feel transactional, business relationship, nothing more. But the colors around him tell a different story. I first noticed the shift during my second week, when Dante joins me at the bar after closing. Vita Bella is empty except for cleaning staff and the ever-present security. He settles onto a stool, loosening his tie with the particular exhaustion that comes from maintaining control through sheer force of will. Long day? I ask, pouring him the bourbon he favors. Long year, if I'm being honest. He takes a sip, eyes closing briefly in appreciation. You made this? My own recipe. Bourbon, maple syrup, black walnut bitters, orange peel. I call it the Autumn King. It's excellent. Add it to the menu. We sit in comfortable silence while I wipe down the bar, organizing bottles with the precision that calms my constantly overstimulated brain. Dante watches with the focused attention he applies to everything. But there's no assessment in his gaze now, just observation, or maybe appreciation. Tell me about your art, he says suddenly. The question catches me off guard. My art? Isabella mentioned you studied fine arts, that you paint. I'm curious what kind of work someone with your unique perception creates. No one asks about my art. Most people don't even know I paint, treating it as an embarrassing hobby rather than the truest expression of who I am. I try to capture what I see, I say carefully, the colors that exist only in my perception, translating impossible hues into pigments that exist in the real world. I'd like to see them sometime, if you're willing to share. The offer is casual, but the colors around him pulse with genuine interest. Not the polite attention people fake when discussing subjects that bore them. Real curiosity about who I am beyond my utility to his organization. They're strange, I warn. Abstract and unsettling. Most people don't know what to make of them. I'm not most people. No, he's definitely not. The moment stretches between us, weighted with something I can't quite name. Then Dante's phone buzzes, shattering the intimacy, and he's back to business, reviewing messages that probably involve violence or strategy or both. But the colors around him have shifted. The burgundy and gold now threaded with something softer. Something that might be affection, if men like Dante Marchetti allowed themselves such vulnerabilities. I tell myself it doesn't matter, that I'm here for practical reasons, for the salary and benefits and protection my family desperately needs. That developing feelings for a man whose business involves controlled violence would be catastrophically stupid. But the colors don't lie, and mine are starting to reflect his, burgundy and gold creeping into my perception of self, reshaping who I am through proximity to power I never wanted to understand. The attack comes during my 4th week, and it's so subtle I almost miss it. I'm conducting inventory in the wine cellar, checking shipments against invoices, when I notice something wrong with one of the cases. The colors are off, pulsing with that same yellow-green I associate with contamination and decay. But this isn't wine. It's a shipment of what the paperwork labels as imported olive oil from a distributor I've learned is a front for less legal merchandise. My gift screams warnings as I approach the case. The colors intensify, yellow-green shot through with veins of black, creating patterns that make my vision blur with sensory overload. Whatever's in this case, it's not what the paperwork claims. I'm reaching for my phone to call Isabella when the cellar door locks with a mechanical click that echoes through the space. Fear floods my system, cold and sharp. I'm 3 levels below ground, surrounded by wine bottles worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, with no witnesses, and one exit now sealed. Miss Martinez. The voice comes from behind the shelving. Male. Unfamiliar. Carrying an accent I can't quite place. So nice of you to notice our little addition to Mr. Marchetti's inventory. A man emerges from the shadows between rows. Late 30s. Wearing maintenance coveralls that would let him blend in with restaurant staff. But the colors around him are all wrong. Angry red shot through with black, and that terrible yellow-green of poison and death. The door was malfunctioning, I say, keeping my voice steady. I came down to check on it. Don't insult both of us with lies. You recognized contaminated product the same way you recognized contaminated wine at the Sapphire Room. He moves closer, and I see the weapon in his hand. Not a gun. Something else. Syringe, probably, given the yellow-green glow around it. The Calabrese family sends their regards. I back away slowly, putting the tasting table between us. My mind races through options, none of them good. I'm not a fighter, never trained in self-defense beyond the basic awareness, in classes Maya and I took at the community center. But I understand colors, and I understand that the wine bottles surrounding us represent both danger and opportunity. You're going to inject me with whatever's in that syringe, I say, stalling for time. Make it look like an accident. Tragic overdose of the troubled bartender with the drug problem no one knew about. His smile is cold. Smart girl. Unfortunately for you, smart girls don't survive long in this business. He lunges. I grab the nearest bottle, a 1,995 Barolo worth probably $3,000, and swing it with every ounce of strength I possess. Glass explodes across his face. Wine sprays like blood, expensive and dark and ruined. He staggers, one hand going to his eyes, the other still clutching the syringe. I don't wait to see if I've incapacitated him. I run, dodging between rows of shelving, heading for the back corner, where emergency protocols demand a secondary exit exists. Behind me, he's recovering, shouting, threats in what might be Italian. Footsteps pound on concrete, growing closer. I find the emergency door, bless Isabella's insistence on showing me every exit route, and throw myself through it into a service corridor I've never seen before. Alarms blare instantly. Lights flash. The security system has registered unauthorized access, which means help is coming. But the killer is still behind me, still pursuing through corridors I don't know, in a facility I'm only beginning to understand. I burst through another door into what looks like a parking garage. Dante's black Mercedes sits in reserved spot nearest the entrance, and leaning against it, checking his phone, is the soldier who escorted me that first night. "Gun!" I scream. "Syringe! He's right behind me!" The soldier reacts instantly, weapon appearing from beneath his jacket with fluid grace, eyes tracking past me to the threat emerging from the corridor. What happens next unfolds with the clinical precision of professionals who've handled similar situations before. 2 shots, carefully placed, and the man who tried to kill me crumbles to the concrete. The soldier approaches the body with his weapon still raised, checking for vitals with efficient movements. Then he's on his radio, calling for cleanup, speaking in coded language I don't yet understand. "You're safe, Miss Martinez." He holsters his weapon, expression professionally neutral. "Are you injured?" "No. Scared, but not hurt." "Good, mister. Marchetti will want to debrief you personally." Dante arrives within 5 minutes, erupting from the elevator with Isabella and 3 other men I recognize as senior security. His eyes find mine immediately, conducting an assessment that feels almost physical in its intensity. "You're sure you're not hurt?" "I'm sure. But Dante, the shipment in the cellar, the olive oil case, it's contaminated. That's what he was trying to protect. Whatever's in there, it's not what the paperwork claims, and it's dangerous." Something shifts in his expression. Not surprise exactly, but grim confirmation. "Show me." We return to the wine cellar as a group, Dante's security forming a protective perimeter around us. The case I'd flagged still pulses with that terrible yellow-green glow, screaming warnings through colors only I can see. Dante examines it personally, using tools from a kit one of his men provides. When he opens the case, I see the contents aren't olive oil at all. They're packages of white powder, vacuum-sealed and labeled with symbols I don't recognize. "Heroin," Dante says flatly, "laced with fentanyl, if I'm reading these markers correctly. Enough to kill several hundred people if it reached the streets." He looks at me, expression harder than I've ever seen. Someone's trying to frame my organization for trafficking product we'd never touch. Set us up for federal prosecution while flooding Chicago with poison. "The Calabrese family," Isabella says quietly. "Tony Romano's been pushing for expansion into narcotics. This could be their way of forcing your hand, making it look like you've already committed to that market." Dante's jaw tightens fractionally. "Dispose of this immediately. Full documentation of the contaminated shipment, chain of custody showing we never accepted delivery." "And Isabella?" "Find Tony Romano. I want to have a conversation about his business proposals and his surprising connections to families who've been targeting my operations." The cleanup happens with the same efficiency I've witnessed before. The body disappears. The contaminated shipment is documented and destroyed. Within an hour, the wine cellar looks exactly as it did before, except for the lingering smell of spilled Barolo and the particular tension that comes after violence. Dante finds me in his office, where I've been sitting in numb shock, trying to process that someone just tried to kill me for noticing contaminated inventory. "I'm putting you in a safe house," he says without preamble. "Tonight, security detail around the clock. Your siblings will be relocated to a secure apartment near Connor's school." "For how long?" "Until we've resolved the Calabrese situation permanently." He pours himself whiskey, downs it in one swallow. "I'm sorry, Ava. I brought you into this world, and now it's trying to destroy you. You didn't bring me anywhere. I wasn't already standing. I chose this. Chose to work for you. Chose to use my gift. I chose to stay even after I understood what your business involves. That doesn't absolve me of responsibility for your safety." I stand, crossing to where he's gripping the bar cart like it's the only thing keeping him upright. Up close, I can see the cracks in his controlled facade, the fear he's not allowing himself to express, the guilt eating at him for putting civilians in danger. "Dante." I wait until he looks at me. "I'm not a damsel who needs rescuing. I'm a resource you're utilizing. Those are your words, your framing. So, utilize me properly. Don't hide me away where I can't help. You almost died tonight, but I didn't, because I saw the contamination, recognized the threat, and responded appropriately. That's my value to this organization. Don't diminish it by treating me like I'm too fragile to function in your world." Something shifts in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. "You're braver than you realize." I'm terrified. But terror doesn't mean I stop functioning. It means I function more carefully. He reaches out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I don't, his hand cups my face with surprising gentleness. "I won't let them hurt you again. That's a promise I intend to keep." The colors around him pulse with burgundy and gold so intense they're almost blinding. And threaded through it all, something new. Something that looks like the beginning of emotions men like Dante Marchetti probably shouldn't allow themselves to feel. Then teach me how to protect myself, I say quietly. Don't just guard me. Arm me with knowledge and capability. Make me a partner instead of a liability. His thumb traces my cheekbone, the touch sending electricity through my system. Dangerous request, Ava Martinez. I'm already in danger. Might as well be dangerous myself. He kisses me then. Not gently, not carefully, but with the desperate intensity of someone who's been holding back too long. I kiss him back, tasting whiskey and restraint breaking, feeling the careful control he maintains shattering under the weight of emotions neither of us should be feeling. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, the colors between us have merged, burgundy and gold and silver, pulsing with shared recognition of something that started as business and transformed into something considerably more complicated. This changes everything, Dante says quietly. Everything was already changed. We're just acknowledging it now. Outside his office, I hear Isabella's voice coordinating security. Protocols. Hear the Romano brothers being summoned for a meeting that probably won't end well for Tony. Hear the machinery of Dante's organization mobilizing to protect what's theirs and eliminate what threatens them. And I realize I'm no longer just an employee. I'm part of the family now, for better or worse, in a world where family means something far more binding and dangerous than shared DNA. The colors around us pulse with certainty and inevitability. This is my life now. And despite everything, despite the danger and violence and moral complexity I never wanted to navigate, I wouldn't choose differently. Not when the alternative is drowning alone while pretending normal is possible. Part 3. The Reckoning sections 7 to 9. The Breaking Point. The Battle. The New World. The safe house is a brownstone in Lincoln Park that probably costs more per month than most people earn in a year. 3 stories of restored Victorian elegance, complete with security system that would make government installations jealous, and enough surveillance equipment to monitor a small city. I've been here for 5 days, and I'm slowly losing my mind. Maya and Connor arrived on day 2, relocated from our shabby apartment with their entire lives packed into suitcases that look pathetically small against the backdrop of all this wealth. Connor adapted immediately, treating the situation like an extended vacation, complete with game consoles, and a security detail he finds fascinating rather than frightening. Maya is more perceptive, watching me with the worried attention of someone who knows something's fundamentally wrong but can't quite articulate what. "This is because of your new job, isn't it?" she asks on the 5th morning, cornering me in the kitchen while Connor sleeps off his teenage need for 12 hours of unconsciousness. The one that pays 3 times what bartending does and comes with health insurance that seems too good to be true. I pour coffee with hands that have now finally stopped shaking from the wine cellar attack. The colors in this house are strange, clinical silver shot through with the particular gray that means institutional rather than personal. Protection, yes, but not home. It's complicated. That's what people say when the truth is something they don't want to explain. Maya settles onto one of the bar stools, her expression eerily similar to Mom's during those final months, when she knew I was lying about being able to manage everything. "Ava, who is Dante Marchetti? Really? He owns restaurants throughout Chicago. I work for him developing cocktail programs and managing beverage operations. And that requires armed guards watching our house? Moving us to a location we're not supposed to tell anyone about? Security protocols that feel like witness protection? She's too smart. Always has been. Inherited Mom's analytical mind, along with her determination to extract truth from people who'd rather maintain comfortable fictions. There are some business complications. I hedge. Competitors who don't play fair. Dante's being cautious until the situation resolves. Competitors don't send people to kill bartenders, Ava. Whatever you're involved in, it's more than restaurant work. Before I can construct a response that satisfies without revealing too much, my phone buzzes with a text from Isabella. "Dante wants to see you. Car arrives in 20 minutes." I have to go to work, I tell Maya, grateful for the interruption even as guilt twists through my chest. "We'll talk tonight, okay? I promise." "You've been promising to talk for 5 days. Eventually you're going to run out of delays." She's right, of course, but eventually keeps getting pushed further away by immediate crises that demand all my attention. The car that arrives is one of Dante's black SUVs, driven by a man I've learned is named Vincent. He's older than most of Dante's security, maybe late 40s, with the kind of weathered face that suggests he's Seen everything twice and wasn't impressed either time. Miss Martinez. He opens the rear door with practiced courtesy. Mr. Marchetti is at the primary office today. He's asked that you join him for a meeting. What kind of meeting? The kind where your particular expertise will be valuable. The primary office turns out to be a building in the loop that houses what appears to be a legitimate import-export business on the first 3 floors. The 4th floor, accessible only by private elevator requiring both keycard and biometric scan, is where the real business happens. I've been here once before, during my 2nd week, when Dante wanted to show me the scope of his operations. The space is all dark wood and leather. Computers displaying shipping manifests and inventory reports that probably tell 2 different stories depending on who's reading them. Today, the conference room is occupied by men whose colors make my gift scream warnings. Dante sits at the head of the table, flanked by Isabella and 2 others I recognize as his senior advisors. Across from them, looking distinctly uncomfortable, is Tony Romano and his older brother Michael. The burgundy and gold I associate with Dante's organization is conspicuously absent from the Romano brothers. Instead, they pulse with angry red, shot through with that terrible yellow-green of contamination. Ava. Dante stands when I enter, gesturing to the empty chair beside him. Thank you for coming. I need your assessment of a situation that's proven difficult to resolve through conventional means. I settle into the leather chair, acutely aware that everyone's attention has shifted to me. The Romano brothers study me with expressions that range from confusion to barely concealed hostility. What situation? Tony has presented an opportunity for expanding our distribution network into territories currently controlled by the Calabrese family. The proposal is lucrative and strategically sound. Dante slides a folder across the table toward me. But something about the arrangement concerns me, and I can't quite articulate what. I open the folder, finding shipping manifests, warehouse locations, and financial projections that would make any legitimate business salivate. The numbers are extraordinary, promising returns that would double Dante's revenue within 6 months. But the colors are wrong. The paperwork pulses with that same yellow-green I saw in the wine cellar, the contamination signature that screams danger and deception. And threaded through it, connecting to Tony Romano like visible poison, are veins of black that suggest betrayal so profound it makes my vision blur. This is a trap, I say quietly. Tony erupts. What the hell does a bartender know about distribution strategy? She knows what I need her to know. Dante's voice drops to that dangerous register I've learned means someone's about to have a very bad day. Continue, Ava. Explain what you see. I close my eyes briefly, letting my gift translate colors into language that won't sound completely insane. The warehouse locations are compromised, already under federal surveillance, probably. The shipping routes pass through territories that will draw attention from law enforcement, specifically watching for organized crime activity. And the financial projections assume acceptance from partners who have no intention of honoring agreements. That's speculation. Michael Romano protests, his voice carrying the defensive edge of someone who's invested too much to acknowledge reality. We've done our due diligence. The Calabrese representatives we met with were legitimate. The Calabrese representatives you met with were setting you up. I counter, opening my eyes to meet his gaze directly. This entire proposal is designed to draw Dante's organization into illegal activity, with such obvious markers that federal prosecution becomes inevitable. You're not expanding territory. You're building a RICO case against your own family. Silence crashes down over the conference room with physical weight. Tony's face has gone red, veins standing out on his neck. This is insane. You're trusting restaurant operations over legitimate business intelligence? I'm trusting someone who's saved my life twice in as many weeks over someone whose connections to my enemies keep proving convenient. Dante stands, moving around the table with predatory grace. You've been compromised, Tony. Whether through blackmail, bribery, or simple stupidity, the Calabrese family has turned you into an asset they're using to destroy what my family built. You're wrong. But Tony's voice lacks conviction, and the colors around him are fragmenting, angry red giving way to the particular gray of someone whose lies are collapsing under scrutiny. Show me your phone. What? Your phone, Tony, right now. Unless you'd prefer I have Vincent extract it from your corpse. The threat isn't subtle, and the 2 men who've materialized near the conference room door suggest it's not empty either. Tony's hands shake as he produces his phone, setting it on the table like an improvised explosive device. Isabella takes it immediately, connecting it to a laptop and beginning a forensic examination that clearly isn't her first. What she finds makes her expression harden into something genuinely frightening. Encrypted messaging apps, she reports, scrolling through contents. Communications with Calabrese family representatives dating back 4 months. Discussions of payment structures, intelligence sharing, and coordination for the Sapphire Room poisoning attempt. My stomach drops. He was involved in trying to kill you? Not directly, Isabella continues. But he provided intelligence about Dante's patterns, his usual locations, the security protocols at various establishments. He made the assassination attempt possible. Michael Romano has gone pale, staring at his younger brother with the kind of betrayal that transcends business. Tony, what did you do? They said it would just be territorial adjustment, Tony whispers. That Dante was getting too powerful, that he needed to be brought down a level. They promised me a bigger role, more responsibility, territory of my own to manage. And you believed them? Dante's voice carries no anger now, just profound disappointment. You thought a rival family was going to honor promises made to a traitor? That betraying your own blood would result in anything except being used and discarded. I wanted what you have. The respect, the power, the control. You inherited everything from your father, and the rest of us are supposed to just accept being soldiers forever? The admission hangs in the air, poisonous and pathetic. Dante studies Tony for a long moment, and I watch the colors around him shift. The burgundy darkens, gold fading into something colder. This is the moment I realize, where he decides whether mercy or business takes precedence. You're out, Dante says finally, effective immediately. You'll leave Chicago within 48 hours and never return. Any attempt to contact family members, to leverage old relationships, or to continue your association with the Calabrese family will result in consequences. I won't specify, but you can certainly imagine. That's it? Tony's voice cracks. You're just letting me walk away? Michael vouched for you repeatedly despite my reservations. I'm honoring his judgment and his loyalty by not doing what business sense demands. Dante turns to Michael, whose colors pulse with shame and gratitude in equal measure. But understand that this mercy extends only to Tony's life. His reputation, his connections, his future prospects, those are forfeit. He's a ghost as far as this organization is concerned. Michael nods once, the kind of sharp gesture that accepts reality even as it breaks something fundamental. Thank you, Dante. I'll ensure he's gone by tomorrow night. The Romano brothers are escorted out by security, Tony still protesting, Michael walking with the rigid posture of someone carrying impossible weight. When the door closes behind them, Dante's carefully maintained control finally cracks. He braces both hands on the conference table, head dropping forward, breathing carefully controlled. The colors around him pulse with burgundy so dark it's almost black, shot through with gold that's tarnished by stress and fury and something that might be grief. You should have let me kill him, Isabella says quietly. Mercy to traitors encourages future betrayal. Michael's been loyal for 15 years. That loyalty bought his brother a bus ticket instead of a bullet. Dante straightens, turning to face me. Ava, you just prevented me from walking into a federal trap that would have destroyed everything my family built. I owe you more than salary can compensate. You owe me safety for my siblings and the ability to keep working without looking over my shoulder constantly. Done. The Calabrese situation ends now. I'm tired of playing defensive. Something in his tone makes Isabella smile, sharp and predatory. You're moving on their territory? I'm removing their ability to threaten mine. Vincent has been coordinating with our contacts in law enforcement. Turns out the Calabrese family's expansion into Chicago left a trail of evidence that certain ambitious prosecutors find very interesting. Understanding dawns. You're turning them over to federal authorities? I'm ensuring that their attention gets redirected to threats that deserve it. The Calabrese operation relies on networks and infrastructure that can't survive serious federal scrutiny. 6 months of legal pressure, and they'll collapse back to New York where they belong. It's elegant, I realize. Not the crude violence Tony's stupidity would have invited, but strategic maneuvering that achieves the same goal with considerably less bloodshed. What about the attempt on your life? The man in the wine cellar? The wine cellar assassin was Calabrese family, likely hired through Tony's intelligence sharing. With Tony exiled and their operation under federal investigation, they'll be too busy managing their own survival to continue targeting us. Dante moves closer, his hand finding mine with surprising gentleness. It's over, Ava. You and your family can go home. The words should bring relief. Instead, I feel something else. Loss, maybe. or the particular emptiness that comes from having a crisis resolve before you've finished processing its implications. Home to our old apartment? Back to pretending the last month didn't happen? Home to wherever you want it to be. The position at Vita Bella remains yours if you want it. The salary, the benefits, the safety, all of it continues. But the forced proximity, the safe house protocols, the constant security, those can end if you prefer. He's giving me a choice. Again, the same choice he offered that first night, but with fuller understanding of what each option means. Stay in his world, accept the moral complexity and danger and power that comes with being part of his organization, or walk away, return to the shabby apartment and struggling artist life, pretend I never saw colors that revealed the truth beneath Chicago's civilized surface. I need time, I say quietly, to think, to talk to Maya and Connor about what kind of life we want. Take all the time you need. But Ava? He waits until I meet his eyes. Understand that whatever you decide about the job, about working for my organization, that's separate from this. He kisses me then, in front of Isabella and the security personnel and anyone else who might be watching. Not the desperate kiss from his office after the wine cellar attack, but something slower, more deliberate, a claiming that transcends business relationships and employee contracts. When we finally break apart, the colors around us have merged, completely, burgundy and gold and silver, pulsing with shared recognition of something that started as necessity and transformed into choice. Go home, he says softly. Talk to your family. Paint your impossible colors. Figure out what kind of life you want to build. I'll be here regardless of what you decide. The conversation with Maya and Connor happens that night, around the kitchen table in our shabby apartment that suddenly feels smaller after weeks in the brownstone. I tell them everything. Not the sanitized version I've been constructing, but the truth. About Dante's organization, about my synesthesia, and how it makes me valuable to people who operate in spaces where normal perception fails. About the wine cellar attack, and Tony Romano's betrayal, and the choice I'm facing between safety and power. Connor listens with the wide-eyed fascination of a 15-year-old who thinks organized crime sounds considerably more interesting than geometry homework. Maya listens with a mother's careful attention, asking questions that cut through my explanations to expose the assumptions underneath. Do you love him? She asks finally. The question catches me off guard. What? Dante Marchetti, do you love him? Because everything you're describing sounds like business and strategy and survival, but the way you talk about him, the way your expression changes when you say his name, that's not business. That's something else. I open my mouth to deny it, to insist that emotions haven't compromised my professional judgment. But the colors swirling through our apartment tell a different truth. Burgundy and gold threaded through every surface I look at, painting my perception of reality in hues that mirror Dante's presence. I don't know, I admit. Maybe. Probably. Is that insane? Falling for someone whose business involves violence and moral ambiguity I can't fully accept? Mom fell for Dad knowing he had a gambling problem, Maya says quietly. Knowing it would probably destroy them eventually. Love doesn't wait for perfect circumstances or appropriate timing. It just happens, and then we deal with the consequences. What do you think I should do? She takes my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. I think you should stop trying to protect us from reality and start living in it yourself. You've spent 3 years sacrificing everything for me and Connor. Maybe it's time you chose something because you want it, not because it's the responsible option. Connor nods agreement, his teenage bravado cracking to reveal genuine concern. We'll be okay, Ava. I'm not going to get expelled again, and Maya's got scholarships covering most of college. You don't have to keep drowning to keep us afloat. The permission they're granting feels like absolution for sins I didn't realize I'd been committing. That night, alone in my bedroom surrounded by unfinished paintings, I make my decision. I return to Vita Bella on a Thursday evening, walking through a front entrance like a customer instead of an employee. The restaurant hums with its usual elegant chaos, couples celebrating over wine, business associates conducting deals over appetizers, the machinery of Dante's public face operating with practiced precision. Isabella spots me first, her expression shifting from surprise to understanding. He's in his office. I know. The door is closed when I arrive, but I don't knock. Just turn the handle and walk into the wood-paneled sanctuary where Dante sits, reviewing documents with the focused attention I've learned to recognize as his processing mode. He looks up, and the colors around him explode with burgundy and gold so intense they're almost blinding. Ava, I'm staying, I say without preamble. Not because I need the job or the safety or the benefits, though those matter. I'm staying because I want to be here. Want to work with you, build something with you, exist in your world even though it scares me and challenges every moral certainty I thought I had. He stands slowly, moving around the desk with that controlled grace. You're sure? I'm terrified, but terror doesn't mean I'm making the wrong choice. It means I'm making a brave one. Brave or reckless. Can it be both? He kisses me then, and this time there's no desperation or claiming, just recognition of something that was inevitable from the moment I knocked poison from his hand and stepped into his world. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, Dante rests his forehead against mine. This complicates everything. Everything was already complicated. We're just acknowledging it now. I can't promise you normal, Ava. Can't promise safety or conventional happiness or a life that won't involve moral compromise. I don't want normal. Normal is drowning slowly while pretending everything's fine. I want this. Want you. Want to paint colors that don't exist and work for a man who operates in spaces between law and loyalty and build. Something that matters even if it's complicated. His smile is genuine this time, reaching his eyes in a way I've never seen before. Then let's build something complicated together. 6 months transforms everything and nothing. The brownstone in Lincoln Park becomes home not because we're hiding, but because it's beautiful and spacious, and close enough to Connor's school that he can walk without security escorts. Maya starts at Northwestern in the fall with a scholarship package that covers tuition and a trust fund. Dante established that she doesn't know is from him, but will discover eventually. My paintings start selling, not through the struggling collective in Pilsen, but through a gallery in River North that specializes in contemporary abstract work. Turns out art critics love pieces that challenge perceptual boundaries and explore the liminal spaces of sensory experience. They have no idea I'm literally painting what I see, translating impossible colors into pigments that exist in the real world. And Vita Bella thrives under management that understands beverages but also understands the subtle hierarchies of power that govern Dante's organization. I'm not just beverage director anymore. I'm part of the family in ways that transcend employment. I sit in on strategy meetings where my gift for reading colors helps identify threats before they manifest. I train new security personnel to recognize behavioral anomalies. I become fluent in the language of organized crime while maintaining the fiction of legitimate restaurant operations. It should feel wrong. Everything about this life should trigger the moral certainty that guided my choices before Dante Marchetti walked into my bar and changed everything. Instead, it feels like finally existing in my own skin. The colors that have screamed warnings my entire life become tools instead of disabilities. The strangeness that marked me as other becomes valuable instead of frightening. And the man whose world operates by rules I'm still learning treats me like a partner instead of a possession. Tell me what you see, Dante says one evening as we stand in his office reviewing security footage from various establishments. I study the screens, letting my gift translate digital information into perceptual data. The manager at the Bucktown location is skimming. Not obviously, but the colors around him pulse with that particular yellow-green that means deception and hidden corruption. And the new sommelier Isabella hired, his intentions are clean, but he's got gambling debts that make him vulnerable to leverage. Nothing immediate, but something to monitor. Dante makes notes on his tablet, trusting my assessment without demanding proof I can't provide through conventional means. What about the shipment scheduled for tomorrow? I pull up the manifest, studying the documentation with senses that extend beyond normal perception. Clean. Exactly what it claims to be. The supplier's been reliable. For 3 years, no indication that's changed. Good. We'll proceed as planned. This is what partnership looks like in Dante's world. Not romance novel declarations or grand gestures, but quiet trust built through demonstrated competence and shared goals. The proposal happens without fanfare during a routine evening at home. We're cooking together, an activity that's become ritual since I moved into the brownstone. Dante handles proteins with the precision of someone who's studied technique, while I manage sauces with chemistry knowledge that translates surprisingly well to culinary applications. I've been thinking about expansion, he says casually, searing scallops with perfect timing. Not territory or business, but family. I look up from whisking butter into reduction sauce. Family, marriage, children. The conventional progression that people in unconventional circumstances still pursue when they find someone worth building with. He plates the scallops with artistic precision. I'm asking if that's something you'd want. With me. Eventually. The question is so Dante. Practical, direct, couched in business language that doesn't quite conceal the vulnerability underneath. I set down my whisk, moving to where he's standing at the stove. Up close, the colors around him pulse with burgundy and gold so intense they're almost overwhelming. But threaded through it all is something softer, something that looks like hope. Are you proposing? I'm assessing interest before making formal offers. Very romantic. I'm a businessman, not a poet. Then let me translate for you. I take his face in both hands, forcing him to meet my eyes. Yes, Dante Marchetti, I want to marry you, build a family with you, exist in your complicated world and make it ours together. But if you propose by comparing marriage to territorial expansion, I reserve the right to mock you mercilessly. His laugh is genuine, reaching his eyes in that rare way that transforms dangerous crime boss into the man underneath. Noted. I'll work on my romantic presentation. The actual proposal happens 2 weeks later, in my studio where I've been working on a series that tries to capture the colors of our relationship. Burgundy and gold and silver, layered with complexities I'm still learning to articulate. Dante walks in while I'm mixing pigments, trying to achieve the exact shade of his presence. He studies the canvases surrounding us, these abstract explorations of perception that most people find unsettling but he understands as truth. These are extraordinary, he says quietly. The way you see the world, the impossible colors you translate into something others can almost perceive. It's like you're teaching people to see what they're missing. I'm just painting what my broken brain shows me. Not broken, enhanced, different, valuable precisely because it's not normal. He produces a small box from his jacket pocket, opening it to reveal a ring that takes my breath away. The stone isn't traditional diamond but something else. Tanzanite, I realize, the deep blue violet that shifts color depending on angle and light. The colors around it pulse with burgundy and gold, but also that particular blue that I've learned to associate with loyalty and truth. Marry me, he says simply. Not because it makes business sense, or provides security, or any of the practical reasons people in my world form alliances. Marry me because I love you, because you challenge every assumption I've made about what I'm capable of feeling, because building a life with you sounds considerably better than existing in the one I constructed alone. I take the ring with hands that tremble slightly, watching how the light plays across the tanzanite's surface, creating colors that shift between impossible and real. Yes, the wedding happens 6 months later, small and private in a ceremony that balances Dante's Catholic heritage with my complete lack of religious affiliation. Maya, it stands as my maid of honor, stunning in burgundy silk that makes her look older than 17. Connor serves as junior groomsman with obvious pride, wearing a suit Dante had tailored specifically for him. Isabella organizes everything with her usual efficiency, transforming Vita Bella's private dining room into something elegant and intimate. The guest list is carefully curated, family and close associates only, the kind of gathering where everyone understands the unspoken rules governing behavior and conversation. I wear ivory silk that I found at a vintage shop in Wicker Park, simple and elegant with colors that pulse clean and honest. No veil, no train, nothing that suggests traditional bride imagery. Just me, exactly as I am, choosing this life with full awareness of what it means. When Dante sees me walking down the makeshift aisle between tables, his expression cracks in that rare way that reveals the man beneath the careful control. The colors around him explode with burgundy and gold so intense that my eyes water, beauty and danger, and love so profound it makes breathing difficult. You're stunning, he whispers when I reach him at the improvised altar. You're biased, accurately biased. The ceremony is brief, the traditional words carrying weight that transcends their conventional meanings. For richer or poorer takes on significance when your husband's wealth comes from sources that don't always respect law. In sickness and in health gains depth when you've witnessed violence that almost ended lives. Till death do us part becomes promise instead of formula, when death isn't abstract possibility but occupational hazard. When the priest pronounces us married, Dante kisses me with the controlled passion I've learned to recognize as him holding back because we're in public but promising more later. The reception unfolds with the easy warmth of people who've chosen each other across impossible circumstances. Isabella gives a toast that balances affection with professional assessment, noting that I've become essential to operations in ways that extend beyond my official role. Michael Romano, restored to trusted status after his brother's exile, offers congratulations with genuine warmth. Vincent, the older security lead who's become something like a protective uncle, actually smiles when we cut the cake. And through it all, Dante never leaves my side. His hand finds mine during conversations. His attention shifts to include me in decisions. His body language broadcasts claim and partnership in equal measure. This is what it means to build life in his world. Not hiding or pretending or compartmentalizing, but existing fully as myself while choosing connection with someone whose morality operates by rules I'm still learning. Later, in the private suite above Vita Bella where we'll spend our wedding night, Dante removes my dress with the careful attention he applies to everything important. Each button undone with precision. Each layer of fabric treated like it matters. "I love you," he says quietly, his hands tracing patterns across skin he's learning with the same focus he applies to business strategy. Not despite who you are, or what you see, or how different you are from everyone else. Because of all those things. Because you make my world bigger and more complex, and considerably better. I pull him down to kiss me properly, tasting wine and commitment, and the beginning of something that will define both our futures. I love you too. Even though you're a controlling crime boss who operates in moral gray areas I'll probably never fully accept. Especially because of that? Maybe. I'm still figuring it out. He laughs against my throat, the sound rich and genuine. Take your time. We have the rest of our lives for you to reach conclusions. Making love to Dante feels like finally understanding a language I've been mishearing my entire life. Every touch carries meaning. Every sigh translates into communication deeper, all than words. Every shared breath builds connection that transcends physical pleasure. And through it all, I see colors, burgundy and gold and silver, pulsing with intensity that transforms our joining into something almost mystical. This is what my gift has been preparing me for, I realize. Not just spotting threats or reading danger, but perceiving the impossible beauty of chosen connection. Afterward, as we lay tangled in expensive sheets, Dante traces patterns across my shoulder with absent focus. "What are you thinking?" I ask. That I've spent 34 years building power and territory and influence, and none of it mattered until you knocked poison from my hand and changed everything. Sounds dramatic. Accurate. He shifts to look at me properly. You saved my life twice. Once from poison, once from existing without understanding what I was missing. I intend to spend considerable time returning the favor. By protecting me, by loving you well enough that you never regret choosing this life. The promise settles between us, weighted with implications that will take years to fully explore. 18 months after the wedding, I stand in the nursery of our expanded brownstone, painting impossible colors on walls that will surround our daughter from her first breath. The pregnancy was unplanned but not unwelcome, discovered during a routine checkup that revealed I was 10 weeks along before my body bothered announcing the information. Dante responded with controlled joy that cracked into genuine panic when he started researching everything that could go wrong. "You're painting," Isabella observes from the doorway, watching me work with her usual assessing attention, despite being 7 months pregnant and supposedly on modified bed rest. Modified means I can still function, just not lift heavy objects or engage in hand-to-hand combat. Dante will have Vincent's head if he finds out his security let you climb a ladder. Vincent wisely chose not to fight battles he couldn't win. I add another layer of burgundy to the abstract mural covering the nursery wall, trying to capture the colors I see when I think about my daughter. Besides, she should grow up surrounded by colors that exist only in perception. Let her understand from the beginning that reality has more dimensions than most people acknowledge. Isabella moves into the room, studying my work with genuine appreciation. "These are beautiful, Ava. Unsettling, but beautiful." That's my brand. Unsettling beauty that forces people to reconsider assumptions. Speaking of assumptions, Dante asked me to brief you on the Romano situation before he discusses it tonight. I set down my paintbrush, tension flooding my system. What Romano situation? Michael's been solid for 2 years. Tony's back in Chicago. Spotted 3 days ago in Bridgeport, apparently working with what's left of the Calabrese operation after federal prosecution destroyed their leadership structure. The news hits like ice water. He's violating exile terms. Explicitly. Which means Dante has to respond, and respond definitively. You're saying he has to kill him. Isabella's expression remains neutral, but her eyes hold understanding. I'm saying that mercy offered once becomes weakness if it's tested repeatedly. Tony was given a chance to disappear. He's chosen confrontation instead. I lower myself into the rocking chair Dante bought, despite my protests that we didn't need expensive furniture. My daughter kicks against my ribs, responding to stress she can't possibly understand. Does it have to be death? Can't there be another option? What option would you suggest? More exile that he'll violate? Legal prosecution that exposes family operations? There are rules in this world, Ava. You know that. Consequences that maintain order precisely because everyone understands they're inevitable. She's right, and I hate that she's right. This is the reality I chose when I married Dante, when I joined his organization, when I stopped pretending that love could exist separate from the violence that protects it. Dante finds me hours later, still sitting in the nursery surrounded by impossible colors and impossible choices. He settles onto the floor beside my chair, his hand finding mine with the gentle pressure that's become communication beyond words. Isabella briefed you. She did. And you're struggling with what has to happen. I'm struggling with how easily I've adapted to moral complexity that should horrify. 2 years ago, the idea of someone ordering an execution would have sent me running. Now I'm just sitting here trying to figure out if there's a solution that doesn't involve violence, and coming up empty. He lifts my hand to his lips, kissing knuckles that carry paint stains from the mural. You haven't become callous, Ava. You've become practical. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, they look remarkably similar. Callousness would mean you don't care about the outcome, that life and death have become abstractions. Practicality means you understand consequences while still wishing circumstances were different. He pauses. Tony made his choices knowing exactly what they would mean. I offered mercy once, which is more than most would receive. But mercy tested becomes weakness, exploited, and I can't afford weakness when it threatens everything I've built to protect the people I love. Including our daughter. Especially our daughter. I lean forward as much as pregnancy allows, resting my forehead against his. Do what you need to do. Just don't ask me to watch or participate. Let me maintain the fiction that the violence happens somewhere separate from our life here. Done. He kisses me softly. You've given me more than I deserve, Ava. I won't ask you to sacrifice the parts of yourself that make you who you are. Tony Romano disappears 3 days later. No body is found. No arrest is made. No evidence suggests violence occurred. He simply ceases to exist in any meaningful way. And Chicago's underworld understands that Dante Marchetti's mercy has limits that, once exceeded, result in permanent consequences. Michael Romano continues his work with the kind of grim acceptance that comes from understanding your brother made fatal choices no amount of loyalty could prevent. And I continue painting nursery walls while our daughter grows inside me, preparing to enter a world that's considerably more complicated than the one I imagined when I first knocked poison from her father's hand. Our daughter arrives on a Tuesday morning in early September, exactly 2 weeks before her due date because apparently she inherited her father's preference for controlling timelines. The labor is mercifully brief, only 6 hours from first contraction to final push, and when they place her in my arms, I understand why people describe childbirth as transformative. She's perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a shock of dark hair that's pure Dante, and eyes that will probably shift from newborn blue to his storm gray within months. But when I look at her with my gift active, the colors surrounding her are extraordinary. Pure silver, threaded with burgundy and gold, pulsing with potential that extends beyond anything I've seen before. She's not just our daughter. She's possibility made flesh, the future of Dante's organization, and my art, and the complicated world we're building together. She's beautiful, Dante whispers, holding her with the careful terror of someone who's never been responsible for something this fragile. What should we name her? We'd discussed options for months, without reaching conclusions. Traditional Italian names from his heritage, artistic names from mine, conventional American names that wouldn't mark her as different. But looking at her now, surrounded by impossible colors that pulse with meaning only I can see, the answer becomes obvious. Chiara. It means light, clarity, brightness, and she's going to need clarity to navigate the world we're bringing her into. Chiara Marchetti. He tests the name, watching how our daughter's tiny hand wraps around his finger with surprising strength. I like it. Strong but elegant, dangerous but beautiful. Like her mother? Like both her parents. The first weeks of Chiara's life teach me that exhaustion and joy can coexist in impossible balance. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, covered in various bodily fluids, wearing the same nursing tank I've had on for 2 days, and somehow happier than I've ever been. Dante transforms into a version of himself I didn't know existed. The controlled crime boss becomes a father who changes diapers at 3 a.m. and sings Italian lullabies in a voice that's surprisingly melodic. He coordinates his business empire from our bedroom while wearing a baby carrier, conducting strategic meetings with our daughter asleep against his chest. Maya visits constantly, taking classes at Northwestern while helping with childcare and providing the kind of sisterly support that makes me grateful. We survived our childhood chaos together. Connor, now 17 and navigating his senior year with the kind of swagger that makes me nervous, treats Kiara like a fragile treasure that requires his protection. And through it all, I paint. Not the impossible abstracts that made my reputation, but something new. Portraits of our expanding family rendered in colors that capture not just appearance but essence. Dante holding Kiara with burgundy and gold swirling around them both. Maya studying at our kitchen table with silver threads of intelligence made visible. Connor wearing his protective expression with colors that suggest he's going to follow his brother-in-law into the family business despite my hopes otherwise. You're documenting us, Isabella observes during one of her weekly visits. She's become something between friend and sister over the past 2 years. A kind of relationship that forms when you share secrets most people can't imagine, creating a visual record of what this family looks like in colors only you can see. I'm translating perception into permanence. When Kiara's old enough to understand, I want her to see what I see when I look at the people who love her. That's beautiful and slightly terrifying, very on brand for you. We laugh, the kind of comfortable humor that comes from truly knowing each other. Isabella stays for dinner, joining the chaos of family meals, where business and personal blur into conversation that jumps from quarterly earnings to Kiara's feeding schedule with equal weight. This is our life now, complicated and dangerous, and absolutely beautiful in ways I never expected to experience. 5 years pass in a blur of expansion and consolidation. Dante's organization grows not through violence, but through strategic acquisition and legitimate business development. The restaurants multiply, spreading through Chicago and into Milwaukee, each one a masterpiece of culinary excellence that happens to serve secondary purposes for operations. I'm no longer pretending don't exist. My art career flourishes in parallel. The gallery in River North expands to a second location, showcasing work that critics describe as boundary-breaking explorations of perceptual experience. They still don't know I'm literally painting what I see, translating synesthesia into pigments that approach but never quite capture the impossible colors of my gift. And Kiara grows into a person whose colors are even more extraordinary than her infant self suggested. She's 5 now, starting kindergarten in the fall, and already displaying signs that she inherited more than just my dark hair and Dante's eyes. She sees things, notices patterns that other children miss, asks questions about colors that exist only in her perception. Mama, why is Uncle Vincent's jacket purple and yellow? She asks one afternoon, pointing at our security lead who's definitely wearing black. My heart stops. What do you mean, sweetheart? The jacket looks black, but there are other colors around it. Purple like grapes and yellow like sunshine. They move when he moves. I glance at Dante, who's frozen in the middle of reviewing paperwork. We've discussed this possibility, the chance that our daughter inherited my synesthesia, but theoretical preparation doesn't quite match the reality of hearing her describe perceptions that mark her as different. Some people see colors that aren't exactly there, I say carefully. Colors that tell them things about people and objects that others miss. Mama sees those colors too. Her face lights up with understanding and relief. So I'm not weird? You're not weird. You're special. And Mama's going to teach you how to understand what you're seeing. Dante joins us, kneeling so he's at Kiara's eye level. Some people have gifts that make them different from everyone around them. Those gifts can be scary sometimes, but they can also be powerful if you learn to use them properly. Mama's gift has helped protect this family many times. Maybe yours will too. Like a superpower? Exactly like a superpower, but it's a secret superpower that we don't tell everyone about. Okay? She nods seriously, already understanding at 5 years old that secrets are sometimes necessary, that being different requires careful navigation of a world that doesn't always accept variation. I watch Dante explaining to our daughter how to manage perceptions that others can't understand, and I'm struck by how far we've all come from that night in the Sapphire Room when I knocked poison from his hand without understanding what I was starting. This is our family, built from impossible choices and dangerous connections, strengthened through crisis and celebration, held together by love that transcends conventional morality. And looking at them both, surrounded by burgundy and gold, and a silver that pulses with meaning only Kiara and I can fully perceive. I know with absolute certainty that I'd make the same choices again, every single one. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.